The Swiss bank vaults stretched endless in fluorescent silence. Row after row of safety deposit boxes lined the walls like metallic tombstones. Box 847 had sat untouched for 60 years until estate lawyers finally cracked it open in 2008. Inside, Nazi gold bars, bearer bonds, and a leather journal documenting transactions that connected Berlin to Buenos Aires, Zurich to Sao Paulo, the Third Reich to the world's most respected financial institutions. The gold still bore eagle stamps. The paper trail still led to living accounts. This is another video where money, power, and history collide, and nothing is ever as simple as it looks. Most people believe Nazi gold disappeared into Swiss bank vaults and Argentine hideouts after 1945. The comfortable version of history suggests that stolen treasure simply vanished with fleeing war criminals, becoming the stuff of thriller novels and treasure hunters. We imagine jackboot SS officers burying chests in remote locations, or U-boats carrying bullion to South American beaches under cover of darkness. The truth cuts deeper. Nazi gold didn't disappear. It transformed into something far more dangerous, the foundation of a global financial network that outlived the regime by decades. The system began with simple theft. Between 1933 and 1945, Nazi Germany systematically looted an estimated $600 billion in today's currency from occupied territories. They stripped gold from central banks, melted down jewelry torn from Jewish families, and extracted dental gold from concentration camp victims. The Reichsbank processed human suffering into international currency. Martin Bormann understood what Hitler never grasped. Wars end. Money endures. While the Führer obsessed over military strategy, Bormann quietly engineered the economic survival of Nazi ideology through financial networks that spanned continents. The laundering mechanism operated like a sophisticated shell game. Nazi gold flowed through Swiss banks that asked no questions and demanded no documentation. Union Bank of Switzerland, Credit Suisse, and Swiss Bank Corporation transformed blood money into clean assets through a process they called gold washing. Stolen bars were melted down, re-stamped, and issued new certificates of authenticity. History dissolved in furnace heat. The Vatican provided moral cover. Pope Pius XII's silence on the Holocaust wasn't just diplomatic paralysis. Vatican banks actively processed Nazi funds through accounts disguised as charitable donations. Priests carried suitcases of gold across European borders, protected by diplomatic immunity and religious authority. The church that preached salvation became the mechanism for Nazi financial resurrection. Argentina opened its doors under Juan Perón's government. The infamous ratlins that smuggled war criminals to South America also carried their treasure. Nazi gold bought Argentine citizenship, established businesses, and created investment funds that generated returns for decades. Former SS officers became wealthy ranchers and industrialists, their past laundered as thoroughly as their money. The network reached into American boardrooms. Companies like Ford, IBM, and Standard Oil had maintained business relationships with Nazi Germany throughout the war. When peace came, these corporate connections provided legitimate channels for former Nazi assets to enter the global economy. American executives who had sold trucks to the Wehrmacht and calculating machines to concentration camps now helped their former business partners rebuild their wealth in the new world. Swiss banking laws sealed the system with legal concrete. The 1934 Banking Act made revealing client information a criminal offense punishable by imprisonment. Nazi gold could sleep safely in numbered accounts, protected by legislation that turned discretion into constitutional principle. Switzerland didn't just hide Nazi money. It built a legal fortress around it. The genius lay in patience. Rather than spending stolen wealth immediately, the network invested it through legitimate channels. Nazi gold bought stocks, real estate, and government bonds. It earned dividends and interest that compounded for generations. By the 1960s, the original theft had multiplied into vast portfolios spanning multiple countries and currencies. Klaus Barbie illustrated the system's protection. The Butcher of Lyon lived comfortably in Bolivia for 30 years, protected not just by government officials, but by the economic influence his network wielded. His investments in local businesses made him valuable to politicians and police. Money bought more than silence. It purchased institutional loyalty. The network began unraveling when Switzerland's moral monopoly collapsed under international pressure in the 1990s. Class action lawsuits from Holocaust survivors forced Swiss banks to confront their wartime complicity. The comfortable fiction of neutrality crumbled when investigators found that Switzerland had processed more Nazi gold than Germany had officially possessed. Credit Suisse admitted to holding $60 million in dormant accounts linked to Holocaust victims. Union Bank of Switzerland revealed transaction records showing systematic cooperation with Nazi financial officials. The Swiss Banking Association, which had spent 50 years denying any knowledge of blood money, suddenly discovered extensive documentation of wartime gold transactions. The Vatican's role emerged through investigative journalism and leaked documents. Financial records showed that Catholic institutions had processed hundreds of millions in Nazi assets through charitable front organizations. The same banks that funded missions and monasteries had laundered the profits of genocide. Argentine investigations revealed that the Perón government had received over $100 million in Nazi gold as payment for providing sanctuary to war criminals. Former concentration camp commandants had used stolen Jewish wealth to buy cattle ranches and industrial facilities, creating business empires that enriched their families for generations. American corporations faced their own reckonings. IBM acknowledged that its punch card technology had optimized Holocaust logistics. Ford admitted that its German subsidiaries had profited from slave labor. Standard Oil revealed that it had continued fuel deliveries to Nazi forces throughout the war. These companies had created the infrastructure that made Nazi financial networks possible. The legal battles produced partial justice. Swiss banks eventually paid $1.25 billion in settlements to Holocaust survivors and their families. The Vatican established a fund for Holocaust education and remembrance. Several countries created commissions to investigate wartime financial collaborations. Justice remained incomplete. Most of the Nazi gold network's participants had died natural deaths in comfortable retirement. Their children and grandchildren inherited wealth built on systematic murder, protected by legal structures and social amnesia. The money had been cleaned so thoroughly that its origins became almost impossible to trace. The names have changed. The behavior hasn't. Modern Swiss banks still offer numbered accounts and ask minimal questions about fund origins. The Vatican Bank still processes mysterious transactions through charitable organizations. Argentina still provides financial sanctuary for those fleeing legal accountability elsewhere. Cryptocurrency exchanges now serve the same laundering function that Swiss banks provided in 1945. Anonymous wallets replace numbered accounts. Blockchain technology creates new methods for disguising money's source and destination. The tools evolve. The fundamental dynamic persists. International sanctions create new ratlins. When governments freeze Russian oligarch assets, the money doesn't disappear. It flows through networks of shell companies, real estate investments, and cryptocurrency exchanges that mirror the Nazi gold system structure. Financial advisors who once moved Soviet money now move sanctioned wealth through identical channels. The Vatican Bank continues operating with minimal oversight, processing billions in donations and investments that receive little scrutiny from financial regulators. The same institutional protections that sheltered Nazi gold now shield contemporary money laundering operations disguised as religious transactions. Swiss banking secrecy laws remain largely intact despite international pressure. The country that built its financial reputation on discretion continues offering services that attract money fleeing accountability elsewhere. Modern criminals and corrupt officials can still find sanctuary in institutions that perfected their techniques, serving Nazi clients. History teaches that money doesn't remember its origins. Gold bars don't carry genetic memory of their theft. Bank accounts don't preserve moral DNA. The financial system's fundamental architecture remains designed to transform dirty money into clean wealth through time, complexity, and institutional amnesia. The Nazi gold network succeeded because it understood something profound about human nature. People want to believe that money can be cleaned, that wealth creates respectability, that time erases moral stains. The system didn't just launder money. It laundered history itself. The lesson persists in every offshore account, every anonymous transaction, every financial institution that prioritizes client privacy over ethical accountability. The infrastructure built to serve Nazi gold continues operating today, serving new clients with familiar needs for discretion and moral distance. We tell ourselves that modern financial regulations prevent historical repetition. We believe that international oversight and legal accountability have closed the loopholes that once sheltered stolen wealth. We trust that institutional memory preserves moral lessons learned through terrible experience. The gold in Swiss vaults suggests otherwise. Some wealth carries stains that never wash clean, no matter how many transactions separate crime from respectability. The Nazi gold network revealed something fundamental about money's nature. It doesn't remember what we prefer to forget. It just keeps earning interest, generation after generation, until someone finally asks where it came from.